How did Call of Duty go from this to this? And how can a game made by one dude, eating pizza and coding in his bedroom, have a bigger player base than Halo, Call of Duty, and Battlefield combined? To get the answer to this question, we need to understand why the big AAA game studios have taken all of their desire to make fun, action-packed, and immersive games, and just thrown it out of the window of the 94th story. I have found that this is all connected to the past, when gaming became mainstream a few decades ago, with the release of Space Invaders. This game took over the world, and really put video games on the map, and in the mind of average people. Companies were fighting to join the growing, new and in-demand gaming industry. The man who started it all, the single developer of Space Invaders, Tomohiro Nishikado, spent a year designing and developing the hardware for the game. Back in the 70s, most games were made of one or small teams of developers. The storage disk space was limited, so games were simple and had to rely on being fun, really fun, not incorporating fancy graphics or music to capture the attention of the players. As the 80s and 90s progressed and came to a close, big game studios had formed and began expanding and making more advanced games. This led to bigger teams of developers and less solo developers like Tomohiro. Bungie was a great example of a small team of developers that expanded and grew, and with the growth came Halo, one of the most popular and well-known game series of all time. At one point in time, it seemed like the only reason to buy an Xbox was to play Halo. Microsoft loved it and threw more money at Bungie to pave the road for Halo 2. The hype for Halo 2 was unreal, but even bigger was the hype for Halo 3 when it was released in 2007. Bungie wanted to end on a high note with Halo 3, but Microsoft could not let that slide. Of course, duh. They made one more Halo game, Halo Reach. It was a beautiful game and made $200 million on its first day. But what was wrong? Well, it seemed like Halo Reach was not made with as much passion as the previous Halo games, because the team of developers had already told the story, the Halo story in the way they wanted to tell it. Bungie's studio moved on, but Microsoft had already made plans for Halo 4 and passed the game series on to another studio, 343 Industries. A year went by after Halo Reach, and Halo 4 was announced. For most of us, it was not a big deal that Halo 4 was made by another team of developers. It made $220 million on the first day. Even though people were excited to continue the story of Master Chief, something was not quite right. The gameplay, Halo 4, felt way off. The game looked like Halo but did not feel like Halo. After a little while, the player base of Halo 4 started dropping, fast. 343 learned their lesson and made things right with Halo 5, or so we thought. Halo 5 was released, made over $400 million in its first day, but it was still not what the fans wanted. No co-op and no content at launch. 343 tried again with Halo Infinite, a game that was released with so many bugs that you had to be crazy to think it was released by a game studio with 6+ years of experience and over $500 million in sales. But even 343 really tried. They could not seem to make a good Halo game. What was the problem? It just does not make sense. Or does it? You would think that 343 would be able to figure out how to make a good Halo game. However, the reason why they just can't is actually quite simple. There is something in the fundamentals, something with the company that is so different compared to Bungie that originally made Halo, it just can't be fixed. Bungie's entire culture was based on making the best game possible. The developers were a bunch of college kids that actually just wanted to have some fun. This pushed the boundaries with each release, making it bigger and better. 343, on the other hand, was more focused on money and how to make more of it. Every Halo game they released had less content and had gotten worse with every installment. It is easy to see the difference in quality comparing these two game studios, but it is not easy to understand why the difference even exists. The leaders of 343 are more focused on financial gain rather than the quality of the game. Will making a great game automatically make you more money? Not necessarily. If you have resources for marketing, then of course. But with the rise of live service games, AAA studios have found a way to make more money than ever, without producing better games. Notice that AAA games are launched more often than not with battle passes and cosmetics. Why? Because it makes more money thanks to microtransactions. It does not help that the leadership of the AAA studios rush to release unfinished games. That's why a lot of them end up in the trash. There are still some AAA games that have had long-term success with this model, such as League of Legends, Fortnite, and Destiny 2. But live service games could be the reason why sequels are not happening anytime soon. Warcraft 3 has been out for 20 years. Where's Warcraft 4? For every bad AAA game that is being released, 10 really good indie games are being released. Why is Hollow Knight so freaking good with its dark atmosphere? Because indie games are made with passion. It's crucial to differentiate between indie and AAA games. Indie games, in essence, are crafted by individuals or small teams, typically bankrolled by personal funds or crowdfunding. They are distinguished by their uniqueness. Each game is an embodiment of the developer's vision and creativity, mirrored through groundbreaking gameplay mechanisms, rich narratives, and striking visual styles. Contrarily, AAA games spring from the minds of working in extensive development studios and publishing companies. They bear resemblance to blockbuster films with the gaming industry marked by hefty budgets, high-end graphics, large-scale marketing drives, and premium production standards. Indie games have etched a firm place for themselves through the compelling power of storytelling. Take games like Undertale, Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, for instance. These games may not compete with AAA titles in terms of flashy, ultra-realistic graphics or heart-pounding action sequences. However, they have captivated gamers with spellbinding tales, endearing characters, and immersive narratives that stir a plethora of emotions. Lower production costs mean indie games can be priced more affordably than AAA games. This cost-effectiveness endows indie games with a competitive edge, making them more accessible to a broader segment of gamers. In contrast, AAA games, with their skyrocketing production costs, are often reflected in the price tag, have started to raise eyebrows regarding their value-for-money proposition. Indie developers are often swift to adapt and innovate, not hesitant to take risks or bring fresh ideas to the table. On the other hand, AAA studios, burdened by layers of corporate bureaucracy and a predisposition towards safe strategies, may lag in the innovation race. An intriguing development has been unfolding in the gaming world, wherein AAA titles have been grappling with successful implementation of co-op games. These traditional powerhouse games have stumbled, evidenced by recent attempts like Redfall, Marvel's Avengers, and Gotham Knights, which fell short of expectations. On the flip side, indie titles such as Overcooked have not only flourished, but have managed to extend their success into multiple sequels. The rise of indie games has sent shockwaves through the AAA industry, forcing it to rethink its approach to game development. Indie games have demonstrated that the secret ingredients to a successful game are creativity, innovation, engaging storytelling, and an understanding of gamer psychology, rather than just gigantic budgets or huge development teams. One of the most conspicuous challenges in the AAA landscape is the enormous pressure on game developers to meet profit targets. This monetarily driven mindset sometimes impedes their ability to fully realize their vision, reflecting in games that seem devoid of nuanced details and unique elements that could have elevated the player experience. Rather than taking cues from the gaming community or focusing on crafting a genuinely enjoyable gaming experience, AAA titles are often driven by forecasts of what the market wants. The result is a product that feels less inspired and more calculated, which often falls short of creating a truly immersive experience. Conversely, indie games are often birthed from passionate developers who have the liberty to create without external pressures. They're not just crafting games, they're crafting something they are proud of and passionate about. This commitment often translates into innovative mechanics and groundbreaking features that push the boundaries of the gaming industry. Hence, indie games signify more than small teams or budgets. They embody a game design philosophy that places originality and personal expression as the forefront. AAA titles, under the immense pressure of commercial success, often tend to sideline originality and experimentation in favor of market trends. Crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter and Patreon have empowered indie developers to seek direct support from players, fostering a close-knit community around indie games. This strong sense of community is typically less prevalent in AAA games. Indie games prioritize delivering a compact, yet high-quality experience over sprawling but shallow gameplay. Games like Braid and Celeste offer a well-crafted platforming experience, smaller in scope but deeply impactful for players. Digital distribution platforms such as Steam, itch.io, and the Epic Games Store have enabled indie developers to connect with a global audience. Simultaneously, affordable game development tools like Unity and Unreal Engine have democratized game development, putting power back in the hands of individual creators. Indie games often embrace unique visual designs to create an impression. Titles like Cuphead and Hyper Light Drifter leverage distinct art styles to enhance their narrative and overall appeal. It's clear that the pressure to meet financial goals and deadlines has been compromising the quality of AAA games. In contrast, indie games, which are often driven by creativity, innovation, and passion, continue to thrive and reshape the gaming landscape. This suggests a need for a paradigm shift in the AAA industry. Developers need to reconsider their approach, taking cues from successful indie games, and prioritize creating engaging, enjoyable gaming experiences over merely seeking to meet a profit margin. There's no denying that indie games have forever altered the dynamics of the gaming industry. AAA titles must rise to this challenge, marrying their vast resources with innovation and creativity to reclaim their space in the industry. Only by doing so can they hope to win back players and secure a bright future in the evolving gaming landscape. That is all for today, folks. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. And remember to like, share, and subscribe for more riveting gaming content. Until next time, keep gaming and keep exploring.